Are you happy and satisfied now? Hurry up and sign the divorce papers one.
All right, fine. Oh, but from now on, if anything happens, I won't help or support you anymore.
When I said that, my husband Max, mother-in-law Wendy, snickered.
Mom, yes, yes.
I think that's what we're saying to you.
Once I finished signing the divorce, both Max and Wendy looked very happy getting carried away from all the... But little did they know that what was waiting for them. My name is Sarah, and I'm a 32-year-old office worker. I have been married to my husband years now. My husband works for a major company, and he works very hard at his job. My husband is busier than me and can late. So even though we both work, basically mainly responsible in cool other house chores, and we don't have any kids yet, so we can spend a lot of time together as a couple. And we often drink with each other's friends or colleagues. And since we don't have any kids, my husband and I spend a lot of time doing things we like to do, so I think we both feel that much less stressed. At the very least, I have no complaints about my husband, but there is something that has been bothering me a little lately. And that's why my husband often goes on business trips, and he works even on weekends. There have been times when Max has had to be out of the country for international business trips or to work on Saturday nights. And that only happened once a month or so, and it was pretty rare. But for the past few months, his business trips increased, and he had to go on trips about twice a month, and he had on his days offs every week and on weekends. My husband's company's working conditions are not that bad, and until now his hours have been within the limit, but they have exceeded it. So I wondered why my husband was being asked to work so much by the company receiving these calls. When I asked my husband about it, he gave me no details and would only say that there were a lot of things going on in the company right now. I don't think it's right to blabber to your own wife about the company due to confidentiality. But still, this increase in Max's working hours seemed really... And what bothered me most was that he didn't seem to be having a hard time working for that long. Rather, it always seemed like he was going on business trips and working on his own, happily leaving the house. But I know him, and I knew that he was not, because he is extremely passionate about his work. At home, Max never talks about his work, and he has also never talked about wanting to be promoted within his department. And he showed no signs of motivation, passion, or desire to do better. And the most puzzling thing was that even though I worked so hard, my husband's salary had not increased at all. With all the long hours Max has been working, there should be no such thing as overtime, and it is also impossible that he is not being paid for his work. Based on these points, I started to talk to my husband about something. Could it be that he's having an affair behind my back? Could it be that business trips are sleepovers with his lover, and working days off or holidays are spent with his lover? When I began to think like that, I think that way. Days passed when I wanted to look at my husband's phone to check, but upon observation, I found that he always had his phone with him, never leaving it behind. Even when he went to the bathroom or his face in the morning, he always in his pocket. My assumption could be really right. I decided to trust my instincts and an investigator to check about this. My gut feeling tells me that my husband is being suspicious, but I really hope that this was all. I was driven by such mixed, uncomfortable feelings. A few weeks later, the results came back, and it was found that my husband was not guilty. My husband's lover was a colleague, same office where he worked at. She was a single career woman, tall, good-looking, and she had the looks that my husband preferred. I was just so angry. Of course, I was allowed to go out for drinks with friends and have lunch on my days off, but I never, ever crossed that line. I have loved and thought only of my and cherished my life with him. But my husband easily betrayed that me and did whatever he wanted. Thinking that, I was determined to husband and his lover. First, I decided to report the whole thing to my mother-in-law, Wendy. I had a reasonable relationship with Wendy, and I knew that she would understand the whole situation and be supportive of me. I called Wendy in advance to let her know that I had something important to discuss, and I made my way to her house. Wendy has been living alone since the death of her husband a few years ago.
Oh, Sarah, welcome. What's wrong? You came here all on your own, all sudden.
Well, Wendy, actually.
I reported to Wendy that Max was currently having an affair behind my back. I also explained that he had been me with his lover by saying he's going business trip or working on days off holidays. I showed her some of the evidence that I had received from the investigator, but Wendy showed no signs of surprise. She didn't react the way I thought she would.
Oh, Max is having an affair,
Looking at her reaction, maybe she was thinking that her son wasn't having an affair. Maybe that's why she doesn't really believe in the evidence.
All these photos were taken by the investigator I hired. Unfortunately, Max is having a bad back.
When I said that, Wendy replied, "Why don't you get a divorce from him?"
Huh?
What? You're not going to get a divorce?
I mean, I will get a divorce, but
Isn't the conversation going too easily? Was she really that disinterested in her own marriage? As I was thinking that, Wendy then said something unexpected.
Well, that's good then. Max, Molly, you both can come out now, finally.
When Wendy said that, to my surprise, her husband and his lover came out of the room.
how did you?
Oh, hey, Sarah.
Hello.
Oh, I'm sorry. I began to like Molly more than you know. And you said that you had something to discuss with me, so I thought about this and I called them both.
What? So, does that mean that you support with these people?
Yes, that's right.
Are you saying that you approve of Son for having an affair?
Don't you dare talk to me like that. My son just found a better partner.
Excuse me?
Unfortunately, you're not as strong or fast as Molly. Molly has a higher income with great benefits, and she has even agreed to live with me. Compared to you, it's only obvious is much more attractive.
So, you're saying that you're only everything only on the surface, huh?
Pardon me? What? Are you jealous? How ugly of you! They say that there is no uglier woman than a jealous one, and it seems to be true. For Max, you were never the first chew, we're always only in the second. Right, honey?
Oh, yeah, that's right. It's pretty unfortunate, but that cat helped, you know.
I was very angry that my husband treated me like that. I was also angry at his lover, Molly, who stood next to me, just staring at me as if I was the one causing trouble. I wanted to punch them both in the... But that would have put me in a difficult position. I managed to suppress my anger and calmly.
I don't care if you two remarry, but I will make sure that you all pay alimony.
Then my mother-in-law gave me a dirty look and said, "Oh, we'll pay it. We can afford it."
If we combine Max and Molly's income together, we have nothing to fear.
Then my husband said, "Well then, to sign this," as he showed me some. It was divorce papers. Max's parts were all already signed. Oh, I see. So he had this whole thing all along, huh?
I won't sign it just yet.
When I said that, they all looked surprised.
And why is that? You just said that you were getting a divorce.
Just hurry up and sign it. We even said that we would pay you.
Ugh, you're such a pain in the butt.
I'm only going home today because I'm not convinced that I have seen all the papers yet.
I'm not going to let them make me do. They want me to do.
I will not let you leave here right you sign them.
Yeah, that's right. If you want to leave here, just sign these divorce papers.
Are you sure that you can say that? What you're saying is confusing. You're just threatening me, you know? And I just recorded what you just. What would happen if I turned this police?
Both Max and Wendy began to flinch.
What are you trying to do?
I just don't want to obey and do what everyone tells me to do. The next time we meet, let's meet W lawyers by our side.
With that, I left Wendy's place. Wendy looked really stunned, and it was obvious from Molly's face that she thought I was making a huge fuss. Later, after I got home, I packed my went back to my parents' house. My parents were surprised to see me come home, but they were outraged at what had happened. They told me that I could stay at the A as long as I wanted until the whole settles down. About a month later, I met with a lawyer to discuss alimony with my ex-husband. My husband also brought Wendy to our. It was going to be probably messy. Well, it couldn't be helped. One of the reasons why I stubbornly signed the divorce papers right then was that I thought I might get a lot less if I asked for the alimony after. I officially demanded alimony from my ex-husband as my lawyer talked me through the process. I then sent a demand for alimony by certified mail. My husband immediately agreed and peer pay the amount.
Are you happy and satisfied now? Hurry up and sign the divorce paper.
All right, fine. Oh, but from now on, if anything happens, I won't help or support you anymore.
When I said that, my husband Max, mother-in-law Wendy, snickered.
I think that's what we're saying to you.
Once I finished signing the divorce, both Max and Wendy looked very happy getting carried away from all the. I then moved to an apartment-sized person near my office. It's very close to my office, making my commute much easier and more comfortable before. Moreover, I used to work very little to take care of my house chores, but now I can work overtime without worrying, and my income has gone up as well. I put more and more focus on my exam preparation for certifications, and my income increased even more compared to before. Then, about a year after my divorce, received a call from a number which looked familiar to me. I've seen it before, but who was it? I had seen it, but I couldn't remember. Anyway, the phone kept ringing, so I answered it. Then it was my ex-mother-in-law who called me.
Oh, thank goodness, it's finally connected. Oh, Sarah, please help me.
What's wrong?
I can't take it anymore. It's because of that woman, Molly.
Oh, I knew it.
Are you still being chased by loan because of the debt?
How did you know about that?
I actually had an investigator look.
So you knew about everything and you even tried to tell us and just betray that?
Oh, no, 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 you all betrayed me, you. Stop talking nonsense here. Max was the one who had an affair be back and left me. Well, if you only called me to complain, then just hang up now.
Well, wait. Will you get back together with... If it continues to go on like this, we'll both sink down together. That woman, she keeps on pushing me.
Before I officially divorced my ex-husband, I had hired an investigation to research his lover. I discovered that the woman, Molly, was heavily addicted to gambling and had a particular interest in horse racing and casinos. And apparently, she also has a huge debt. And this is just my guess, but I think that when Max and Wendy got married, they moved in together to save money on their expenses. That way, she wouldn't have to pay rent, since she is such an overpowering and outspoken woman. She probably forced him to obey her and do all the house chores. Also, there could be a possibility had Max and Wendy help her pay off as well.
Oh, Wendy, you must be completely devastated. So it wasn't me who was poor, but that woman, Molly, is the one who's poor. Well, it's all none of my business because it doesn't matter to me anyway.
Oh, please, don't shun us like that. All of Max's savings and mine, they're all gone.
Well, it's what both Max and Wendy.
And because you sent a content cert letter to the company about Molly, and Molly got a pay cut, so that means that you are responsible for your own actions. Take responsibility and help us.
How much more obnoxious and self-centered can she be? But I'm a little irritated that Molly is doing whatever she wants to do. I told them that I wouldn't help them in the future, but I did give Wendy advice on what she could do to get a job at Molly.
If she's treating you badly, recording may be a good evidence of the harm that you are receiving from Molly. Also, if you have evidence of her act to gambling, you could use that as for Max to get a divorce with Mol.
When I suggested that, Wendy said, "Oh, great idea, thanks," and hung up. After that, both Wendy and Max were mentioned. As a result, Max and Molly got a divorce. Wendy and Max were released from their debts. In the end, Molly was unable to repay her debts and had to go through many credit loan companies. And soon enough, she was gone from the company too. Although Max and Wendy were released from prison, their finances have been squeezed out during the past year, and the psychological damage is said to be quite severe. Well, compared to them, I think I am the happiest out of all of them. So I guess in the end, everything was 6, all right. By the way, Wendy seemed to think that she could get Max and I back together by cooperating with her in the end and called me several times, but I ignored her. I then began a romantic relationship with a colleague at work. And 2 years later, we got married and have a child. My new husband is a wonderful person. I feel very comfortable with him. I would like to continue to have a relationship with my current husband and watch our son grow up together.
Well, there were a lot of crazy people in this story. Wendy, who called Molly and Max in, kept them waiting in a separate rock really crazy. But it was Wendy and Max's fault for seeing that Molly was that kind of. As a result, Sarah, who had lived a life of her own, was the happiest she had ever been with Max, and Wendy deserved everything they got. There were no complaints. As for Molly, she went from one cons to another and disappeared from the butt. I wonder where in the world I hope she didn't get kidnapped but I guess she got what she too. Anyway, I am glad that Sarah seems new and happy family.
Thank you for watching until the end. Please subscribe to our channel. We hope to see you in our next video.